As a photographer, we all have things in our kits that we consider crucial. And recently, this is something that I added to my kit that I would consider crucial and I think every photographer should get. So yeah, let's go ahead and talk about what this is, what I'm holding right here, and why you should have one of these in your toolkit. So guys, I'm Moody. I'm a photographer based in Los Angeles. And today we're going to be talking about what this is and why you should have one of these in your toolkit. So what I'm holding right now is a SSD drive from the company Glyph. Glyph did provide this to me for this video, but they didn't pay me and they're not asking me to say anything nice about it. They're asking me to give my opinion on it, which is what I'm going to do. So yeah, this is an 8 terabyte SSD provided by Glyph. And this is something I definitely think every photographer should have for a couple of reasons. So there's a few good reasons you should upgrade to an SSD drive. And then there's one caution that I think I need to explain, which I don't really see too many people talk about, but I do need to talk about that. But yeah, let's go ahead and dive right in and talk about why this is something that you should keep in your toolkit. The first and most important, and probably the main reason you are going to get an SSD drive, is the speed of one of these. This thing has insane read and write speeds. Here they are, directly pulled from Glyph's website. And I'm not going to lie, I do come from editing on other SSD drives to editing on this one. I've been editing on this one for about 2 months now. And the read and write speeds for me haven't been life-changing. But if you are coming from a hard drive editing workflow to an SSD workflow, they will be for you. This is something that I think every photographer should have, because if you're spending a ton of money buying really nice SD cards and CFast cards or whatever storage for your camera, but you're still editing on a hard drive, you're shooting yourself in the foot because you're not actually utilizing the read and write speed of those cards that you're paying a ton of money for. If you get an SD card that's a V90 and it has really good read and write speeds, but then you go and offload it onto a hard drive, which doesn't even utilize the entire speed of a V90 card, then you're going to be sitting around waiting for your data to transfer for 10, 15 minutes. Now, that doesn't seem like a long time, but say you have a couple of shoots per week, that's 15 minutes, give or take, each time you're offloading data, which is, almost an hour of your time just sitting waiting for data to offload, times 52 if you're shooting, year round. That's a lot of time. That's a lot of hours you're just sitting around waiting. With something like this, you're going to be able to offload your entire photo shoot within a minute. And that's going to save you a ton of time in the long run. Because again, 10, 15 minutes isn't too bad if you do it once in a while, but if you're doing it every single time, it is going to add up to a ton of time wasted, which is probably the main reason I would recommend getting one of these, because it's going to save you a ton of time in waiting and it's going to speed up your workflow. Now, obviously, the speed of this thing is incredible, but another thing that's incredible about it is its size. This thing is tiny. It's about 1 inch by 3 inches by like half an inch, I think, thick, 1/4 inch thick. I don't know, it's really thin. I have a little case on it that it comes with, but if you are coming from a hard drive, which is a little bit bigger and bulkier, even the thinner ones and the newer ones that are a little bit more advanced, they're still going to take up a lot more space than something like this. This has a capacity of 8 terabytes. And for 8 terabytes, I can still just literally put this in my pocket or put this in my bag and not have to worry about any space being taken up. And another thing that's nice about this is, let me take this little protective thing off, is it's fully metal. So it's very sturdy. And if I were to drop this, which I'm not going to, I wouldn't really be scared of anything getting broken, because this is a very solid built SSD. And it's also just very minimalist, which I really like. There's like no branding on it. There is on the back. I just put a little sticker on it so I could know what this, this is a little glow in the dark tape so I can see it in the dark. But yeah, there's no branding on it. That's obvious. If you do have a little case on it, it does have a Glyph branded logo on it, but it's very minimal and it's very sleek and it's very well built, which I think is really nice to have, because I don't like having SSDs that have like huge ugly logos on them. I think it just makes it look ugly. But yeah, this is a very low profile, very, low key SSD, and it is very sturdy. So if you drop it, you're not going to have to worry about your data being corrupted. Now, I would really only recommend getting an SSD for current projects that you're working on, because they're going to speed up your workflow. They're very easy to take around with you anywhere. And, they're great for that purpose. But what they're not great for is keeping your data stored for long periods of time. Hard drives use magnets and whatever to store your data for long periods of time. They write it onto little tapes or little discs, depending on the type of drive you have. Things like this, SSDs, they use electricity. And if you let it sit on your shelf for a long enough period of time, it will run out of that electricity and your data will be at risk of being corrupted. Now, I think the standard time is around a year of like not being plugged in whatsoever, that it can start kind of losing data, but I think it differs from manufacturer to manufacturer. But why take that risk? So if you are planning on picking up an SSD drive, I definitely recommend you also get something to go along with it for long-term storage, because for this, even though it's an 8 TB drive, and even though I'm going to be able to do a lot of projects on this drive, once I fill this thing up, I'm going to immediately offload everything on this drive onto an external hard drive that's going to be able to withstand the test of time a lot more than something like this. I think the best case scenario for this drive is pairing it with something for long-term storage and using this just for your current projects that you're working on, and the versatility of it being small, quick, and fast, and being able to carry everywhere while you're working on a project. And then when you're done with that project, offloading this for long-term storage on a hard drive. Glyph also does make hard drives that I'll also link in the description below. I don't have any of them, but I would imagine they're on par with the build quality of this drive itself. So this is one of their SSDs. This is the Atom SSD 8 TB. And the other thing that I want to talk about, which I think everyone should know my honest opinion on, is the price of this. This is $1,200 last time I checked. And in my opinion, for price per terabyte that you're getting, that's not an amazing deal. And because I come from editing off other SSDs to this one, the change really wasn't noticeable for me. If I'm being completely honest, the speed difference wasn't really noticeable. And I actually have some drives that are quicker than this. They are obviously less capacity, but even if I were to get the same amount of terabytes in those drives as this, which is 8, the price would still be cheaper on those drives than it would be on this one. So I don't really know why this drive is so much more expensive than my other drives that I have that are SSDs, when their read and write speeds are essentially identical, or at least in your actual workflow unnoticeable. Like, I didn't really notice a big difference going from my other drives to this drive, and I've been working on this for like 2 months now. So I don't know if I can actually recommend this to people because it's pretty expensive. Now, if you have some money to spend and burn and you want like the best of the best, maybe you can go check this out. But I do think there are better alternatives on the market for SSDs at a better price point. And I know this is, they sent this to me and they obviously want me to showcase it, which I am, and I love this drive. I just don't think I can get behind kind of recommending it to someone when it costs $1,200. I feel like that's a little steep for what it is. Maybe the people at Glyph can let me know if there's like some special technology in here that isn't anywhere else. But even if there was, I haven't noticed a difference. So I can't really recommend this drive to people for that price. Now, they do have other capacities of this drive. When I checked, this was the only one available. They do have other capacities. So maybe the lower capacity ones are a little bit more affordable. But I mean, at the end of the day, I definitely think you should look around and get something that is a little bit more cost effective per terabyte. Now, I wouldn't go out and get the cheapest SSD you can find because I'm sure there's some scam ones out there, but get something from a notable brand that is a little bit better priced. But if you do have the money to spend and you want to pick this one up, I will have this linked in the description below. That has been my honest review on the Glyph 8 TB Atom SSD. Personally, I love it, but I also didn't pay for it. So obviously I'm going to be a little bit more biased to it. If I did spend $1,200 on it, I don't know if I would have buyer remorse or not, but yeah, it's a little steep for what it is. But if you guys want to pick it up, I will have it linked in the description below. And let me know if you edit on an SSD drive or if you're still rocking a hard drive for all your project files or what your workflow is. I've actually kind of looked into getting a NAS system, so hopefully I can get some link that soon. But yeah, if you guys have any more questions about this drive, let me know in the comment section and I will try to answer them. But with that being said, I will see you guys in the next one. See ya.